Welcome back to Meet You at Breakfast. I am Ben here with Brian and Julia to talk about episode 7 of the Traitors US season 3. But before we jump into it, Dylan cannot join us live tonight, but we did record a conversation between him and Brian, a short conversation with his thoughts on the episode that we'll queue up right now.
All right, Dylan. So you're not going to be able to be on the longer episode tonight. So we're meeting here in our own turret of sorts for this episode of Meet You at Breakfast. So you can let us know how you felt about losing Rob, about losing Derek, and about Tom, your boy, becoming Sherlock Holmes in this episode. The floor is yours.
Yeah, Tom haters are furious, and I know there are millions of them.
In
It was a
shambles.
good episode for Tom tonight. Yeah, it's we talked about it, the past 2 weeks really of how long can Boston Rob last in this game because I don't think really any of us suspected he would end up being able to win this as a traitor, and it was a really impressive run. I am not at all surprised it happened this week. I really enjoyed the way they did it, and I think that if you go back to when Boston Rob first joined the game and eventually made the move to take out Bob the Drag Queen, we said maybe it wasn't the best game move at the time, but damn, it was really really entertaining to watch and it was badass for it to be able to pull that off. So everything that happened in this episode is not all that shocking, and I it's frustrating for me because I completely agree with Carolyn and Danielle in the end when they said there was really no saving Rob. And I do agree. But the other part that frustrates me is that I think Rob got a really, really short end of the stick when it came to traders to work with. Because now in hindsight, when I'm looking at the people that were the faithfuls and the people that were the traders, I think that Rob ended up getting potentially the two or three traders that he was going to be least able to work with. Danielle's a mess. I agree with what he said. Danielle's a bad player for this game. She's a bad trader. And Carolyn seemingly just didn't really have a whole lot of interest in working with Rob, even from the get go. Obviously, first episode, she heavily debated getting out Tony, to switch Rob in. She didn't. Um, it just seemed like she didn't really want to work with Rob in this capacity. And I think that what makes him surviving this long more impressive is that he was basically a traitor out on his own island for the past couple weeks for us, couple days for them. And I think his ability to maneuver around that was really, really impressive. People are saying, he didn't play that good of a game because he pulled off that move way too early with Bob the Drag Queen, and then he was fighting for his life the past 2 weeks. But I think everything he did was really impressive. I think the way he navigated the faithfuls was really well done. I mean, uh, Sierra believed in him. Dylan was shocked that it was Rob. I think Dylan was really convinced. I think my stock for Dylan has really kind of plummeted a little bit just because, especially we're now halfway past the game, halfway into the game, excuse me, and we still have a few people throwing away votes, including Dylan. I think that that's a big mistake. Um, but there was also flaws to Rob's game too. I do think going up to Bob the Drag Queen, as awesome as it was too early of a move for him. I think going up to Brittany in this episode instead of trying to go after Danielle was another mistake. He knew. I mean, I feel like he had to know that Danielle and Carolyn were not fully down with him. He really could have tried to capitalize on Carolyn's emotions. None of them seemingly ever went back to Danielle saving her in the urn smashing challenge of like never being afraid to get to never being afraid enough to need a shield. Like that really seems like a point that if they called that out, I think that really would have sold it for a lot of people. Um, but in the end, like I said, I agree with Carolyn and Danielle. I don't think there was any saving Rob. I think just the ride we were on was really fun. I loved it. He's up there on the Mount Rushmore of reality competition TV players. So it was an awesome ride, and I am kind of curious now of where Danielle and Carolyn will go because I don't buy in, that this is the end of their feud, if you want to call it that. I think that I think that that's probably the more interesting storyline that's left in this season. You know, I didn't watch Big Brother, so I don't particularly care about Brittany and Danielle teaming up. I know a lot of Big Brother fans are excited about that. Um, I can kind of see this season going away with like a really good Survivor season where maybe the back half is not as exciting as the first half, but the ride was so fun in the beginning that it just makes it all worth it. And I still think it was a fantastic episode. I'm really looking forward to the rest of the season playing out, even if it's not as suspenseful as this. I am heavily rooting for the Traitors, for sure. I am a Tom Sandoval guy now. I'm not afraid to say it. Cheating on your spouse is bad, but I don't watch that show, so
Yeah.
I'm rooting for Tom Sandoval. I'm rooting for Sierra. I'm rooting for Dylan, even though I think there's a very, very good chance the three people I just named are going to be one of the three people that are killed at the start of next episode. But I'm all in the faithfuls. I'm completely out of Danielle. Like I said, I think Danielle's a bad player for this game. I think she's a horrible trader. I really would like to see a situation where Rob maybe had better traders to work with. But I mean, in the end, I think he made his own bed. He had to lie in it. But man, he was awesome. It was a really fun, kind of probably like the swan song to Boss and Rob in our lives. Really, I don't. He's for sure
I
never coming back to
wonder.
play Survivor again. You know, I it's
Yeah, but there's so many shows, and Peacock loves him. They gave him his own after show for Deal or No Deal Island, so maybe not competing, but maybe Rob's back in like a hosting
well,
capacity
we
for stuff.
we've talked about, hosts replacing Jeff Probst should that ever come down to it. Boston Rob is always the first one that comes to mind for
Yeah,
me.
he's number one with a bullet, most likely.
Um, yeah, I don't know who's watching Deal or No Deal Island. I don't know a
I
single
am.
soul
It's
who's
fun. It's
watching
really
it.
fun.
Well, I
It's
now
good.
know one soul, but like I've never seen anybody talking about because I know Parvati's on that this
Yep.
season, right?
Yeah, Parv
So
and Dr. Will for you Big Brother fans there.
and he was on it last season, or the first
Rob was on
season.
last season, yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, it is fun to see older Survivor players kind of recycling into these, but it also is just a reminder of, for me, not to go back to Survivor, of just like the glory days of Survivor, and it's just a reminder that it's over. Even though we've had, we've had a run of a couple really good seasons of Survivor. I mean, Traitors is that next king in waiting. The prince that was promised for reality TV. They're kind of the second coming and hopefully a revival because I think we said it last week. Reality TV is kind of having a little bit of a comeback right now, which is
100%.
awesome.
Yeah.
I
I
think
think sorry. This is your
I
yours.
I was gonna say a lot of that probably has to do with the writer's strike last year. I think that they're kind of just throwing shit at the wall a little bit and seeing what sticks. But that's great for us, obviously, as people that record podcasts. And like I said, I am really, really enjoying the Traders. I am shocked at how much I am, and I think a lot of other people who are turning into this season for the first time are too. So, yeah, it's really exciting, and I do still think the cast that's left has a lot of entertainment to give. Tom
Mhm.
Sandoval, I think I think the Danielle and Carolyn could be really fun because like I said, I don't think that feud is completely over with yet. I think we're going to be facing a lot of uh, turmoil if they want to include Brittany, which at this point feels like the logical choice to pull in because if they get a chance to recruit, pulling her in after this week would make a lot of sense. So, yeah, I'm just really excited, and I think like I just said, to kind of bring up the point that you can talk about, I think reality TV is just in a really fun spot at the moment.
No, agreed. And I think we'll see how the Australian versus the world edition of Survivor goes. If that's really popular as a shorter season, I think that we could see some of these players, yeah, honestly, all the players, Rob, Jeremy, Tony, Carolyn, any of them could potentially make a jump over to like a modified season of Australian Survivor, which could be fun. So, yeah, I think it's great. And as somebody who, my ultimate goal with all of these podcasts is to produce a reality show. So I love that it's popular and competition reality is popular.
Gotta get on it quick. I'm
I
aging
know.
out right now.
All right, Dylan, anything else that you wanted to talk about?
No, and you guys will go into a little bit more in depth after this, but shout out Ben, shout out Julia, but it's just yeah, no, great show, another really great episode. I
Mhm.
even with like the conclusion in my head that Rob was going home, it was just still like, could he pull it off? And part of me thought for a second he could, but I mean, Brittany got what, one vote, two votes, so I think that it was time. And I think it worked out great. And as much as Danielle has been driving me crazy and annoying me, you know, they did credit to them, they did get it, but I think it was all in the back of Tom Sandoval.
Mhm.
And realistically, kind of I forgot to touch on Derek too. All this was thanks to Derek in the end. Tom Sandoval deserves credit for being a little paranoid druggie in this episode, but Derek was the driving force behind it. Wes too, they seemingly had Boston Rob's number. Wes ruined it all last week. This probably should have happened last week. What Wes blew it all up, but that was behind the genius of Boston Rob. Yeah, Derek was. It makes me want to potentially check out early seasons of Big Brother with them on it. I've never watched Big Brother, but I found Derek. I like Brittany a little bit. Obviously, I just said Danielle annoys the hell out of me, but I did like Derek quite a bit. And obviously, he had the story down almost to exact details of what happened with Boston Rob uh between being picked because he wasn't being picked as a traitor because he wasn't brought on into the game. And literally just every detail of why he made his moves. So, yeah, shout out Derek. All this happened because of Derek's efforts last week. And regardless of my boy Dylan Efron trying to piece together the wrong clues, this week probably doesn't happen without Derek gonna spearheading that effort last week. So, yeah, shout out Derek.
Yeah, no, great showing from Derek. We wanted to see him back on a reality show for years since he was so good on BB16 to the point where he's kind of being underrated now because everyone was like, "Holy shit, he's the
Mhm.
greatest player, one-time player ever," and then everyone got annoyed by people saying that. So they're like, "He's actually not that good."
Naturally.
I think
Yeah.
he is that good. I think he showed that he's that good and that smart on this show. So even though it wasn't a long run for Derek, I think this only increases his legacy in terms of how iconic of a social strategy player he is. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think it's, we talked about last week. There are a lot of people from a lot of different reality shows that can have a lot of fun in this game.
Oh yeah.
Maybe potentially some people you would suspect. So hopefully, the Spencers of the world, or I forget what he's called now. What he calls himself these days.
From the
You know,
Hills, that guy.
no Spencer from Survivor.
Oh.
I guess Spencer from the Hills too. He's got his own
Yeah,
problems right now in the Hills. Spencer from the Hills, but yeah, no Spencer from Survivor. Yeah,
my bad, my bad. I know he changed his name. I don't oh, Remain, I think. Remain
sure.
so yeah.
A Spencer Romaine / Cass reunion in
Oh
Traitors
god.
would be awesome.
Chaos Cass, I need her in that turret, man, more than I need
Chaos
Derek.
Cass in Survivor would be great. Man, who else? I was just thinking of Survivor off the top of my head. People who I think would have a lot of fun in this game.
What about
Um,
Genevieve from the last season? Survivor.
Genevieve would be
She's
great.
great.
That's another great selection. Although, like we talked about, seemingly Jeff is not a big fan of the newer players going off and doing these
Mhm.
shows.
That's true.
You know, so unless they're like they're guaranteed to be coming back with Genevieve, I could see
Almost certainly
coming
she'll be
back
on season
for
50.
50.
Yeah.
It seems like Carolyn less so. I almost kind of wonder if Carolyn wants to play Survivor again. I don't know if she does. But yeah, there's a lot of people from the Survivor verse, and then we branch out the Big Brother verse and the
Mhm.
challenge and everything else. This show could have a hearty life cycle for the next 5-10 years, and that's
Yeah.
that's
As long
very
as
exciting
Alan
for
wants to
us.
show up to the castle, I think, Peacock will continue to support the show.
Yeah, and I still have to go back and check out seasons 1 and 2, so I'm really excited to have that. But that's all for me. I plan to be back on normal time next week,
Cool.
and I will let you guys take it away from here.
All right. We are back and we are here to talk about episode 7. Big episode. And, we saw it coming for several weeks now, I think, ever since the banishment of Bob the Drag Queen. But I don't think any of us really thought that he was going to get to the end game. But the Boston Rob storyline is over. He has been banished. Finally, he reached the person that he could not convince everyone to vote out, and that was Brittany Haynes. And yeah.
Yeah, I loved him calling her the gamer of all gamers, and she's like, "Excuse me, like,
Mhm.
if anyone's gonna do it, it's gonna be a gamer." And she's like, "Ex- "Yeah, duh, hypocrite. Like you're saying the same thing about yourself." Like,
The brigade says otherwise.
yeah, well,
um,
It was real catch 22. I didn't want to see Rob go, but I didn't want to see Brittany go either, especially where she's finally getting confessionals and storylines. And like, if she'd just been an early boot or something, it would have been really disappointing, you know?
yeah, I'm
yeah,
glad to see her and Danielle are rekindling their girlmance.
Yeah, if
So,
only Carolyn didn't see that. So,
mhm,
Brightly should be well set up to potentially win offer recruitment, but I don't know
mhm,
now.
yeah. That's fair. I really am excited to see Britney-ness come out. I saw a TikTok compilation of just all of her amazing remarks. I send it to you guys? I think I did all the compilation of Britney's amazing moments on Big Brother, all of her DR moments. It's just so
Yeah.
funny.
I I don't know if you sent it, but I've definitely seen some
Mhm.
compilations
I've seen plenty of
of
Brittany
her.
Haynes
So like,
So funny. Her
across
mimicking
the
Rachel
years.
is
Yeah.
probably it's just amazing TV.
Mhm.
Her and the DR being like, I'm Rachel. Brendan, Brendan. So funny.
so yeah, it's the reason why she got brought back and why she's pretty
Mhm.
much made a career out of being a reality TV star. You know?
Mhm.
I mean, she
Yeah,
has not
very
done
entertaining.
that many shows. She did the Amazing Race with Janelle, and they didn't go very far. And then she's doing this, but like other than that, like she hasn't really done
Well,
much outside of Big Brother,
two
right?
seasons of Big Brother,
Yeah.
yeah, and Reindeer
And
Games
then-
and
Reindeers, of
Amazing
course.
Race and this. So yeah,
yeah.
I mean, she
Mhm.
had a kid, right? So
Yeah. Yeah.
that kind of stops the reality TV career
Mhm.
pretty quickly. But
Yeah,
she's
that's
back
fair.
now, better than ever,
Mhm.
I might
Mhm.
say.
Yeah, and I think that's why Traitors is such a good show too, is because it's they only film it for what, like 2, 3 weeks.
Yep.
It's super quick and they get their foot back in the door of challenge games, reality TV. So it's a quick little something, not like Big Brother where you're trapped in this house for 90 to 100 days. So
Yeah,
it's
that
quick,
is the
easy.
real sad thing about these Big Brother legends is like
Mhm.
once they've had success or once even just had the experience of Big Brother, not too many of them are like, I gotta do that again.
Yeah,
Can't wait to go back into that house.
yeah. It's like a mental mind warfare
Mhm.
situation. But
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we've seen plenty of people like kind of visibly lose their minds over the course of a Big Brother season.
mhm.
So
I know, I always think of my girl Paloma, who literally, what was it, 2 seasons ago, losing her mind in the first week. I'm like,
That was a week,
be
yeah.
me. That would probably
Mhm.
be me, honestly. The poor thing.
Yeah, that was one of the more crazy things I've ever seen on the
Mhm.
show, honestly.
You could see, like, the light just, like, wither from her eyes. I'm like, "That girl is not okay."
No.
I think, Ben, I texted you, I'm like, "She is not well." What oh,
yeah.
yeah.
No, she was. Yeah.
Yeah, poor thing. But, you can either handle it or you can't. Uh,
Yeah, it's disappointing Dylan's not here just because 'cause he's been such a pro Tom Sandoval voice in,
Yeah, this was his breakout moment. This is like
yeah,
you know?
I described it as like the dog finally learned how to roll over, and then he'd like begged everyone for a treat.
yep,
I know,
yeah,
it was
Julia, you're his one of
yeah.
his biggest haters. I'd
I
love to hear
mean
your thoughts.
I mean, so here's where I was in the episode. Like right off my literal first note that I wrote was, okay, Tom was right. And then, but then he just, he follows it up by being himself. And you're like, come on, Tom, like you're onto something here. Just stick with that. Stop being you. And I forget what he said. He said something like, I try everything once, and like I literally was like, oh, like also like having an affair. Like you do everything one time at least. He's like, I try anything at once. I'm like, okay. But that's then I'm like, then he got back on the Boston Rob rampage. I'm like, all right, we're back. We're back. Like you stop being yourself and now we're back to the game. Like, great. But yeah, I will put my Tom um hatred down for one episode just to admit that he was in fact on the money. Um we'll see if he was the one that ended up getting banished because the way the episode left it, it was like him being like, but I don't know if it's actually going to be him
Yeah,
or
is he
not.
a good
So,
actor or what do you can you
Yeah.
oh no,
tell?
he's a terrible actor, but you know,
Well, okay, we I guess we can jump to that really quick. I don't think so. I think that like
Mhm.
they wouldn't do that kind of a very obvious like cliffhanger for him to be murdered. I don't think.
Yeah, I think they just told them all to
Mhm.
like look back somewhat surprised. He was like, okay, I gotta be
Yeah,
really
yeah. He said, "This is
surprised.
my moment."
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I do
I'm
have to
wondering
say
if it's
about
going to
that.
be like either the Traitors or Alan. So
Yeah,
that come
right.
in. So
Oh, that's yeah, that could definitely be. I do have to say
mhm.
about that, I love the effort that goes into the show. Like
Mhm.
that whole sequence is like really like well shot and like
Yeah.
fit well and like honestly look better than a lot of TV shows like that are scripted right now. So
Mhm.
yeah, really big kudos to the Traders production team. They're killing it.
Yeah, that's why they're Emmy winning, you know? Emmy
Yeah.
winning the Traitors.
Hey, I mean you gotta hawk that as much as possible, right?
I
Mhm.
mean, the only thing that bugged me about that sequence was that it was a cliffhanger after they had previously already teased it the last week. So they teased it
Yeah.
coming into this episode, and now they're like, okay, it's a cliffhanger to tease you again for next episode. It's like I was excited for that to happen in this episode, and now it's you have to wait another week. So,
Yeah. Gotta
Yeah.
keep us on the hook.
yep.
Yeah, I know.
It'll be
They've
great
got us
too.
hooked, I mean.
Yeah. It'll be great
They've
too when we go
given
through
us
the whole breakfast entering again and then they show us the clip.
Mhm.
So it's like, okay, this is not any different than a
Yeah, they have
normal
to show the six safe people all mingling at breakfast, and then they have to do
Pan
like a
back.
cut back. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Oh, speaking of breakfast, it was so funny when Gabby was like, "Where's Ivar? Oh, Ivar. Oh my god." He's like, "I'm right here."
Yeah,
Yeah.
immediately after Brittany called him
Yeah.
furniture. Like, oh my God.
Yeah.
I literally also like Ivor and Sam, like I literally wrote down the only screen time Sam gets is in the shower and playing badminton.
Yeah.
That's the only screen time he gets.
Mhm.
Hey,
I always forget Sam.
I get Ivar being like, I guess I'll team up with Sam. I don't know.
Mhm.
Yeah.
To guarantee that neither of them get any screen time.
Yeah.
The producers were like, oh, you two actually are gonna be together. Uh,
Mhm.
this is gonna be a
God.
lot easier for us if
Yeah.
that's the case.
Make the editing a little bit simpler. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Be like, great. We don't have to put a camera on you guys at all. Awesome. Focus on them.
Yeah, it is very wild that both of them are in the top 10 now. 'Cause, like after this murder, we're gonna be
Yeah.
at the top 10.
Yep.
Crazy.
Floaters.
Yeah, but you're so right. Like it's becoming ridiculous how much it's just like Sam shirt off scene every episode. It's
Washing
like
himself in the
watch it.
shower. Like,
So,
oh my
yeah,
God.
they're getting like progressive. Like I feel like they filmed a couple for everybody, and then for Sam, they had like a whole day of just various things of him
Mhm.
shirtless.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like, okay, Sam, pick up the bar of soap now. Okay, Sam, shave your beard now. It's like,
Mhm.
what else is he
Do some
doing?
bicep
Nothing.
curls.
I mean, he's not bad to look at, but they don't show him. So, you know.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I guess neither of them. There's no way either of them win, right? They're probably just people who like they probably just get cut kind of randomly, like either during the fire or like right before the fire. I would have to
Mhm.
guess.
Probably.
yeah, they're not in the story at
Yeah,
this point.
like it would be insane if like there was like a joint faithful win and like one or two of them was like a part of the like winning coalition. Like that would be
Mhm.
like, what are we doing?
Yeah. I can't. That Gabby's just cracks me up. Like her just being like, "Where's Ivor?" And he's literally sitting 3 people over from him. She's like, "Oops."
Yeah, like
She is
thank God
so
you didn't say
funny.
anything bad, you know.
Oh my god, no. She's like, "Oh my god, I hope they didn't kill Ivor." He's like, They didn't. I'm right here."
What do you
Uh,
guys think of Dylan spilling the beans to Rob about Derek's thing and then being like,
mm,
"Don't worry, I'm not gonna tell anyone that Derek said you." But then also at the end being like, "Yeah, Derek said Rob or Brittany."
And then also not voting for either. Yeah, I don't know. Like I can't read Dylan. I don't know if Dylan like
yeah.
knows what's going on and is just playing like this kind of meta game
Mhm.
where he's trying to do the cozy up to the traitors like angel trader thing.
Mm,
Um, where he was like, "Oh, I know Boss Craft's a traitor, but I want him around because he'll like keep me safe in the turret."
Mhm.
Or he's like completely clueless. I literally can't tell. It could be
No.
either way.
yeah.
No, me too. Like, the vote for Gabby, I literally said out loud, "What?" And even Gabby said that too. She's like, "Excuse me?" Like, she's like, "We weren't talking about
2
me."
times in a row, he's just throwing a random vote. I think that like
Yeah.
if I'm gonna give him as much grace as possible, it's like I think that he is trying to not piss off the traitors to avoid getting murdered, which I think is like a decent strategy. Which I think like Chriselle to a degree has also done. Like Dolores also. I think throwing your vote is like a legitimate strategy if like you don't
Yeah.
really care who's getting banished between the people who are up.
Yeah.
Um, but like at a certain point, you have to stop throwing your vote
Mm,
because that's just gonna piss people off and make them think you're a traitor.
Yeah, and especially if you vote for them and then you put a faithful's name in the mix, like Gabby, and she's like, she's like, "My name didn't get brought up at all, so, like, why throw a vote at her?" And it's
Mhm.
similar to Chriselle voting for Tom. Like, she votes for Tom for personal reasons. Like, she didn't vote for Tom because his name came up as him possibly being a traitor. So,
She's pretty
like,
real for doing that every round though.
uh,
Like it's
almost
become
she's
a
done it several times.
incredible hit. Yeah.
Like, "I vote
Yeah,
for you, Tom," and he's like
yeah. Both Rochelle and Dolores have now thrown their vote away on Tom twice each.
Mhm. Just for fun.
Hmm. I think it's less egregious against somebody like Tom who doesn't really have like real social power and is not taken seriously. I think like throwing your vote away on a Gabby is a little kind of sketchier.
Mm,
So I don't know. We'll see how it plays out. I still think Dylan has a chance of getting recruited. Like if Danielle is the next trader out between her and Carolyn, I think Carolyn probably recruits him. Maybe Gabby. I think those are probably the two that are on the table.
mm.
And like I think he could also like if maybe you know Carolyn kind of strong arms Danielle into like banishing or into murdering Brittany, and then Danielle gets, and then Carolyn gets murdered. Like maybe Danielle would recruit him as a second option behind Brittany. Like I think there's like a path for him. I just don't know. I think his like kind of win equity is like somewhat dwindling here though.
Mm. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. It's hard to read Danielle a little bit on like who would be after Brittany, just because like every time Rob like
Mhm.
suggested someone, she's like, no, not them.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, well,
Mhm.
it's gotta be somebody.
Well, that
Mhm.
was super funny at the start of the episode in the turret when like they eventually murdered Derek, and there was this whole like thing of like, oh, maybe they'll like never come to a consensus and nobody gets murdered, um, because like Danielle right at the top after like the whole sequence of Carolyn calling her out and saying we got to go after Danielle now. She's like, okay, I don't even care who gets murdered now. Like, I'll take a back seat on this one. And then
Mhm.
immediately, the second that Carolyn and Rob start bringing up names, Daniel's like, no, no, no to every name. It's like, okay, I thought you said you didn't care.
Yeah,
What is it?
she's starting to bother me a little bit. She's kind of like losing it. Like all the tears at breakfast. I was like, "Girl, like get it together."
She's stressed. Her
Yeah,
like,
she's so stressed.
yeah, as someone who has like very curly hair when it's long, like I've been stressed and like, like
Mm-hmm.
afroed it out. And that's kind of like what's happening with Danielle. And I'm like, I feel her. I've been in that mental state
Mm-hmm.
before.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like, and I think that's kind of what stemmed the problem with her and Carolyn. It was just like an overabundance of stress,
Yep.
and it just like started stressing out Carolyn, and who's already a stress ball. So like, it was just a snowball effect from there. And I just think it started with Danielle, and she's getting a little too frantic for my taste.
Yeah. I think like she was very much in charge when Bob was there, like with
Mhm.
Bob calling all the shots and Rob like blindsiding Bob and her at that,
Mhm.
in that way just really spun her out and she hasn't really like stopped spinning ever since.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean it's hard though because like I think we've all been very critical of Danielle, and I think a lot of viewers have been critical of her. But like, and she's definitely made a lot of like on paper mistakes,
Mhm.
but like it feels like none of her mistakes mattered.
Yeah, she can come back from here.
It legitimately feels like nothing she's done wrong has had any like long term impact.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't know how to like. I don't know how to like evaluate Danielle as a player because like I think she's doing badly. I think she's doing well despite the fact that she should be doing badly.
Mhm.
Yeah, really only Jeremy on the show and then Tony in his like video on YouTube afterwards were the only two who like were like Danielle is a traitor.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
yeah, she might actually be underrated, playing well. I guess we'll
Mhm.
see.
Yeah, that's fair. What'd you guys think of the challenge?
Um, I'm
It's
kind of
gross.
over a lot of the bug ones. Like I feel like
Yeah.
we've had like so many of these on the traders. Like and for me, it kind of has diminishing returns. I don't know.
Mhm. I was getting squeamish just watching it. I don't do bugs. And it was just giving fear factor to me. I'm like, we don't
Yeah.
need this. Like I don't
Yeah, we need
wasn't
Joe
my cup of
Rogan
tea.
in a little, you know, in a Scottish like whatever thing
Yeah.
uniform and the hat and all that. Come
Yeah.
out there and make them eat bugs.
Yeah, I also didn't like how it seemed like it was going to be set up as an endurance challenge,
Yeah,
and
right.
then after the 8 minutes, it was like, okay, it's just going to be a needle in a haystack, and it's basically a coin flip as to who wins. It's like,
Yeah, those poor bugs
What was the
getting probably
point? Yeah.
smashed.
yeah.
Yeah,
Ugh.
I don't know
Ugh.
if I love that, but
I literally quoted Gabby and she goes, "You'll be hearing from my lawyer."
Mhm.
That would have
Yeah.
been me.
She's
Like,
doing a class
no.
action lawsuit on behalf of the bugs.
Yeah. No, ugh, no thanks. I'm good. I
what
would have rather the snake than the
the
bugs.
snake. Yeah, Dylan said
Yeah.
the snake was his worst. Like he wouldn't have been able to handle the snake. I
Mhm.
said I didn't like the scorpions just because their
Oh
legs were
no.
very like
Mm-mm.
spindly and gross and like
Mm-mm.
Yeah. See, like I'm like a spider
yeah,
person. Like I
same.
can't do spiders.
Mm-mm. Me
Like
either.
snakes, I'd be okay with, and like the
Yeah.
worms and stuff, like I'd be okay with.
Yeah.
Uh, but
What
like
about
anything spider
And
resembling,
crawly. Ugh,
yeah, like kind of
no.
yeah
many
yeah
legs,
the scorpions were too close to that for me.
yeah,
I would have been like,
God.
no, God.
No.
yeah. I would
Them
have needed
dropping.
Boston Rob doing like
Yeah.
birthing
Yeah,
exercises with me.
yeah, exactly. The snake, honestly, I would have been like, yeah, it's fine. It's just like on your neck. Like,
Yeah. The
you're not
buckets
gonna
of
let it choke
maggots
you
were
out.
feral.
Yeah.
Feral. Ugh.
I
No.
used to have lizards. I had to feed them like those, whatever on those.
I mean, also on my hand, I think I would be mostly fine with, but like when they start like when they do the thing where they dump the like bucket of dirt and bugs
No.
on your head, like that's kind of where I would be like, I don't know about this one.
No.
Yeah, going
No.
into your shirt. And they have
Yeah,
like
yeah,
fancy clothes
sprinting to
on.
second base as Brittany said.
Yeah.
I mean, when they were all over Tom's top hat, his stupid top hat, they were literally just like covering it, and I was like,
Mhm.
"Yeah, no, that hat would have been off my head." Like, mm-mm, no,
Yeah. At first I was like, oh, maybe it's good he has a top hat, and then it just
yeah,
immediately all stayed on. I was like,
Mhm.
nope, it was actually horrible. The worst thing possible. But yeah, I did
yeah,
I'm whatever on the challenge. I preferred last year where it had like an escape room element within
Yeah,
it. Like that was way more fun.
yeah. Both of them, like both seasons 1 and 2, when they've done like a bug challenge, both of them were like a kind of escape from like haunted house kind of deal.
Yeah. I don't
Um,
know if that property got demolished or what.
they just ran out of escape room puzzles, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah. Oh man. So bring it back, Alan. Bring back the escape room stuff. That was
mhm.
fun.
Mhm.
Yeah. Can we talk about Alan's outfit though for the challenge? I
Yeah,
mean,
Mhm.
pride. That was
slay,
great.
slay. The whole wedding aspect, the whole challenge was just weird. It didn't make sense to me that like if they held for the entire 8 minutes, then like it just and then just the ring at the end, it didn't make sense to me.
Yeah, it was not well explained. Also didn't understand
No.
what's going on until kind of like 'cause it definitely to me. I expected them to just be like there for 30 minutes to an hour to however long it took until somebody tapped out.
Yeah.
And they
Mhm.
were like, okay, after 8 minutes, like I feel like I could. I feel like we talk about all this, but like I don't know. I feel like 8 minutes isn't that long. I think I could hang
No.
on for 8 minutes at least. Like just kind of
Yeah.
close my eyes and zen out for 8 minutes.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah,
agreed.
no, it definitely should have been like a two teams going up against each other by random draw. Whoever comes out first is up for murder.
Yeah.
Because putting Sierra through all that when the girls literally went out in the first 30 seconds,
Mhm.
like the
Yeah,
poor
but
thing.
she added an extra like 4 grand to the pot that definitely would not have been added back
Ooh.
regardless in the final episode.
Right. That's where I always think back to. I'm like, they're gonna give them the chance to gain back all the money anyways. Do I want to have spiders going down my back if I'm gonna possibly get murdered that night? Like it. I don't know. If
Yeah.
it were me, I would have respectfully declined.
Yeah. No, I feel you there. Yeah.
All right.
It was a challenge, to be sure.
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't
yeah.
know.
I feel
Yeah.
like the challenges this season have been weird.
Yeah, their outfits were nice. Say that.
Always.
Mhm.
They hooked him
That's
up
my
with
favorite part of
people
the show.
talking. Yeah.
Yeah, like the red and black kind of like theming. I thought was pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
definitely.
Yeah.
Fergus
I don't know.
eating chips while watching it. That was funny.
Hmm.
That would have been me. I would have tapped out and just got a snack and just watched
Yep.
everybody else struggle.
Yep.
But
Gotta love
no, it
Fergus.
definitely, yeah, it definitely should have been just a fight to the death for that because the 8 minutes is really not that long.
Yeah,
And it's an oddly specific number too.
it is weird.
Why not 10? Why
We're
not
on a
5?
tight
Why 8?
schedule here. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, we only have 8 minutes.
Yeah, it was so far away from like the castle. It had to have the commute time in there.
Yeah.
I was wondering
Ugh,
like how long they're in
yeah.
those cars for.
Yeah,
Hmm.
it seems so long. Like, why do they drive them so far? They're on like this huge property.
Yeah, they
I
couldn't
know.
have dumped bugs on them like in the like in the front yard. Like.
Yeah, I know. Ugh, getting in the car after that, having like maggots down your shirt. Like,
Oh
God,
yeah.
ugh, no. Those Land Rovers are probably just infested now.
Yep.
Like,
Mhm.
God.
No, I
Yeah, they
always
got to
think
bring
about
in.
that when they're driving to the challenges is like, oh my god, this would be so boring. Just
Mhm.
like waiting in this stupid car to
Yeah,
do a
you got to make like
stupid
awkward
challenge.
small talk. You try to like be
Yeah.
strategic, but then there's like 4 people in there, and you're like, I don't want to talk to 4 people about my ideas all at once. Like, I don't
Yeah,
even trust half these people.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh man.
It does seem like they're bringing them very, very far away for no good reason.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, we can't just do it in the backyard like a backyard game, like cornhole or something, like, I don't know.
Yeah. Sometimes you get to do it like in the castle. That's nice.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Yeah. No
It's
commute.
yeah, you gotta give people time to make the big spread of food for dinner.
Mhm.
True.
I know. Have you guys been seeing the conspiracies of, like, that, like, the cast doesn't sleep in the castle?
I
I
think
think it's
I,
just
I
yeah,
think that's true. Yeah.
just a,
Yeah.
not even conspiracy. Yeah,
Yeah,
just
I think that's
Yeah.
just true. Yeah.
Yeah, because I kept seeing, like, the UK version, they don't sleep there, but people are confirming that in the US version that we're watching, they do sleep there.
oh,
So,
we
Hmm.
do sleep there.
that's
Okay.
what I've heard, but I'm like and I don't know if any of the cast has confirmed it or not, but, like, so what? They're just getting all these shots of Sam in the shower, and they're like, "Alright, off to your hotel." Like,
I
Yeah,
thought
I thought yes. Yeah.
yeah,
they were just
but
sequestered into like hotel rooms, like the Motel
mhm.
8 down the street from the castle.
Hmm.
No,
The bed and
presumably
breakfast,
something nicer.
across the street.
Because
Yeah.
I remember hearing Phaedra from last season said that she got
Mhm.
like no sleep because they'd have to be there super late as traders. and then
Mhm.
they'd get to go back to the hotel, and
Yeah.
it'd be like 3 in the morning, and then she'd have to like wake up immediately to like do her makeup
Hmm.
for the next day. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, I don't know if someone from the traders is listening, please confirm. You know,
We really wanna know. We just
yeah,
wanna know if you can sleep in the castle, because why not? Why wouldn't you be sleeping in the castle? It makes no sense
right,
why you wouldn't. But the other yeah, I did hear that about the traders too, and people, um, were saying it's like, "Shouldn't it be easy to sniff out the traitors? Shouldn't they be the most tired people in the room?" And I'm like,
right.
"That's fair," because I know I would be. I would have huge bags under my eyes if I was a traitor, because if I was getting, like, 3 hours of sleep, you'd be able to tell. So, unless they're really good at hiding it.
Maybe that's why Danielle's so kind of like unhinged a little bit.
Maybe.
Yeah,
Probably.
she's not getting any sleep.
She's exhausted.
Yeah.
The poor thing is just exhausted. She just needs to take a nap.
Yeah, I mean,
Uh,
I'm sure that has something to do with it, honestly.
yeah. Yeah. Sleep
Oh,
deprivation mixed with stress, mixed with anxiety, mixed with murdering people. It's all compiled together. It's all sucky.
Hmm.
yeah, and then you're gonna get back to your hotel room. I don't know. I would be like pacing, just like, okay, who's the murderer? Who's the
Mhm.
traitor?
Hmm.
Like,
Mhm.
what's gonna happen?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, like that's the thing too, right? Like, I feel like the stress of getting murdered would be easier if you're in like this like fancy like room in a castle. Like, I feel like I would be able to sleep a little bit easier that way. But if you're in like some like crappy motel, like that, like you're already gonna probably struggle sleeping because like it's gonna be
Mhm.
like kind of a mediocre bed or
Yeah.
whatever, and you're like on top of that also stressed from the game. Like they're not giving them the best tools here.
No.
Right. And the other thing that was confusing to me, it's like, okay, so the person that gets murdered, they walk into the confessional room and they read the envelope. So it's like, okay, so did they come there from their hotel just to walk in to get kicked off?
I
Yeah,
think
I
so.
So
think
like
so.
crazy. I'm like, I choose
Yeah.
to just not believe the fact that they don't stay at the castle because it makes the lore of the show that much more interesting. So I will sleep peacefully at night pretending that they all sleep at the castle. So
I wonder if Fergus is there, like, when he come in and it's like, "Oh, I'm gonna go to breakfast." It's like,
no.
"Can we get a confessional?"
Like, why don't we get a confessional real quick? The producers are like, yeah, we just want to talk to you real quick.
Yeah,
Like,
that's
then
how
they're
you
like,
know.
ah, darn, I got murdered.
Oh, man.
I
Mhm.
wish they would do it a little differently though. Like instead of them just walking in and seeing the envelope, I wish it was a little bit more cinematic because that's like the whole point of the show. Instead of them just walking in and seeing an envelope on the chair and they're like, darn, I got murdered via letter.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Give us something more. Give us a little theatrical.
Just like throw fake blood at them or what? Like, just like
No,
stab
it's just like make it more exciting than an envelope or a piece of
yeah.
Take
paper.
a yeah, have him take a sip at breakfast and, like, spit out blood and, like, pretend to
Yeah,
die.
be like, "Ugh, ugh, ugh." Yeah. Yeah, mix it and then mix it in with Alan throwing their frame with a great little slogan moment, so,
Mhm.
yeah,
Or, like,
you
have
know
everyone come in at once, and that person's already dead at breakfast, you
Mhm.
know?
yeah, they're, like,
So,
on the table, like,
yeah.
yeah, food for thought if anyone from the traders is listening, just call me, I have ideas.
Yeah, well, the show, I talked about it, maybe a couple weeks ago, Who Done It. Each
Mhm,
elimination was like a murder, kinda like, and
mhm.
then there were nun-style murder, and then the game was trying to figure out who likely was the person who murdered the last person eliminated. So, the end of each episode, you'd see one of them get murdered, and then the next episode, there'd be a crime scene of the murder, which was, like, a nice
Ooh,
touch.
yeah. See, I would rather watch that than watch these challenges.
Yeah, me too.
I think that's much more interesting than watching, people, Tom Sandoval get covered well, I did actually enjoy watching Tom Sandoval get covered in spiders,
Right,
but but, yeah, I would much rather watch that because it's like it kinda just goes along with the theme of the show.
and some of the murders were, like, crazy on that show.
Yeah,
Mhm.
You
yeah,
watched it,
let's
right,
do
Ben?
it up.
I watched like 2 episodes, I think, and I
Even,
tapped
like,
out.
the first episode, a guy, like, got lit on fire and, like, ran
Mhm.
What?
through this glass and jumped into the pool. I'm
Mhm.
like, "Ah, it was
Oh,
crazy."
okay, traders, take note. Take
Yeah.
notes. Like this is way more exciting than watching the challenges of people getting left on buoys and pontoons, like whatever. Like, come on, give us something more.
There's gonna be
Mhm.
like a couple people who watch our podcast who search who done it, and there's just gonna be like a weird spike on the Google Trends just because of our podcast and me hyping it.
I mean,
Honestly,
that was like the peak of like one-off kind of random reality shows on networks that you wouldn't expect to run reality shows.
Yeah, Glass House, who done it, um, Opposite
Opposite
World,
worlds.
of course,
Mhm.
the most cursed
Yeah.
reality show of all
Utopia.
time. Yep, Utopia. Oh yeah, Utopia may have been more cursed.
Yeah.
And I was like, like Opposite Worlds is like, wow, that's gonna be a cool game. And then they did everything they could to like make it bad. Um Utopia, like we heard the conceit and it was like that's gonna be horrible. And it was horrible when it got canceled for low ratings. Like the idea was a 365-day, like, they just built a society.
Hmm.
Uh it got canceled, I think, halfway through.
Yeah.
did Who Done It come out in 2013?
Yes.
Yeah,
Is
that
it
sounds
older?
Sounds
Oh, okay,
right.
I was gonna say I'm looking at it right now. Can't watch it anywhere. You have to like
no,
buy it from YouTube TV.
not worth it. Don't buy
No.
it.
No, I'll look up clips on TikTok. Figure it
Yeah.
out.
If there are any on TikTok, I'd be shocked to be
Yeah,
honest.
I mean,
I'll find
it's
out.
pre-TikTok, so
I'll find out, or I'll just watch it on YouTube because I feel like YouTube in
It might
2013
it
kind of
might be on YouTube,
yeah, you
yeah.
can probably find it on YouTube, yeah, on some like random like
Mhm.
channel that uploaded it. Yeah.
like a pirated version of it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
some random, like
Mhm.
other country's YouTube channel that just posted the American who
Hmm.
done it.
Yeah. You gotta watch it with subtitles. But but
Yeah, I guess from we're talking about like a meta production standpoint, right?
Mhm.
Um, for the murder, they brought it down. Like they do this for where they kind of like always bring it down to the short list that they're going to present the audience. So here they brought it down to Rob, Dylan, and Derek. Now that Derek is murdered and Rob is confirmed the traitor, if you're in there, do you basically like hard confirm Dylan as a faithful at this point? I feel like that's kind of like an underrated like aspect of the show where you can kind of like metagame the production a little bit.
Mm, that's true.
Yeah, I was thinking about that as well, Ben, like trying to pay attention to who comes in last and like
Hmm.
how much of a advantage that gives you. Could be, let's make note of that now to pay attention to that for the rest of the season, and then we can see if there is a production, meta you can play off of.
Mhm.
Hmm. Well, I feel like they never will put two traders in the final group. They'll at most put
Right.
one trader and usually none.
Yep.
And so if you can confirm that Rob was a traitor in the final group, then I think you can like pretty safely confirm that Dylan's not. But I don't know. Maybe that's too like I don't know.
I mean, I don't know. Some of these people kind of concern me because I even thought of a good point that was brought up during the roundtable. It's like Rob came in with Derek and Wes. The chances of one of the three of them being a traitor was very high, and two out of three are gone. And I
Hmm.
think Rob like shot himself in the foot by murdering Derek because people are like, "Oh, Wes is gone, Derek's gone." There's a high chance that Rob is a traitor because he was one of those three that came in. But not everybody was even thinking like that. And I don't know if someone brought that up at the roundtable, but someone also brought up like um Bob the drag queen calling Rob back out when he was confirmed to be a traitor too, and people were not even, like, acknowledging all these, like, clear-cut signs that Rob was a traitor,
Well, I think
and
ironically, Rob called it out at the round table where he was
yeah,
like, I think he was trying to. 'Cause this is kind of what he has been doing during the season. He's been like kind of fabricating this story to like
mhm,
fit the narrative that he's trying to sell. And so the narrative that he was selling here was like, oh, Derek and Wes both felt very confident that each other were faithfuls, and so they assumed that I had to be the traitor by process of elimination.
yeah,
That's kind of like that's like the story that he was telling. So like he was like
right,
Rob was already kind of operating like at a level of like thinking and strategy beyond what I think most of the faithfuls were. So like that's kind of why I think maybe he failed was because
mhm,
you have somebody like a Tom Sandoval who's like not really willing to like kind of engage with these arguments. And Tom, like he's just very kind of like singly minded and very like kind of simple in his like deductions, where he's like, you know, people who Rob is against are getting killed and banished. That means Rob is a traitor, which was correct. But like,
Yeah.
he's not going to be, convinced by like a higher level argument or like a higher level narrative based off of like a strategy that he's not even going to comprehend.
Yeah, like and I don't know if it was the best move for like Rob literally would hear his name come out of somebody's mouth one time and he'd be like, "We got to get rid of him. We got to murder him." I'm like, "Okay, but now you're setting yourself up in that position to be like,
Mhm.
okay, this person talked about Rob and he could play it off and be like, "Oh, well somebody's setting me up clearly." But it's like every single time that it happens though, like if someone was trying to frame you, I don't think they would do it like every single time when
Yeah, it's definitely like something that works a lot better in Survivor.
yeah.
When we talked about a few times, you can almost instill the fear of being the next one to draw Rob's ire.
Mhm.
And then you just like completely back off. Where
Mhm.
it's
Mhm.
like, so, I mean, some of these Real Housewives and Tom Sandovals of the world, like you said, Ben, aren't like the high level strategy
Mhm.
thinkers because like he did weave a good web, but it doesn't matter if people are just gonna vote for Tom anyways, like no
Mhm.
matter what you say.
Yeah, that's what makes me mad that, like, Chrishell and Dorinda were like or Dolores, and they were like, "Yeah, Tom." I'm
Yeah.
like, did you not read the book that was just put in front of you with all this information?" And it's like, throw away a vote on a conversation that was very clearly directed at one particular person or even Brittany, like, one of the 2 of them. Like, that's what I'm getting frustrated with because it's like, okay, you're in the final 10. Vote correctly. It's not week 1 anymore, or week day 1, but
Yeah. Start
I don't know.
playing the game, please.
Yeah, I mean,
Too much.
and trust me, I would vote if I was stuck in a house with Tom Sandoval, I'd vote him out too. But, like, Rob was clearly the person to vote for, and they just decided and even Dylan too with voting Gabby, it's like, I get that you don't wanna vote out Tom or Rob because you're, like, aligned with him, but, like, now you're just pissing off another person for no reason, so
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see how it plays out. I mean, I think like you guys have a prediction for who's going to get murdered. I am probably going to bet on Chriselle getting murdered, but
Mhm.
I could definitely be argued, a different way.
I could see that. I definitely don't think it's gonna be Tom. I'd actually be surprised if it was Tom. I think obviously they made it look like it was, but usually in that case, it's never that person.
Mhm.
So, I would like be able to see Chriselle.
Yeah, I don't have a strong opinion just because like I don't know really what's gonna happen between those two in the turret. Like
Mhm.
Mhm.
I don't think either of them will get rid of anyone close to them. And like you said, Chriselle is a good potential person just because she doesn't seem to be like tightly aligned with either of them. So
Mhm.
Yeah, that's kind of where I was feeling because Chriselle, if anybody was like Rob's person, right?
Mhm.
And like I think that Carolyn's probably going to defend Gabby and protect Gabby.
Yeah.
I could see Danielle protecting Dolores to a degree. I could see both of them being kind of out on going after Dylan, especially because he's kind of like been, outed a little bit as like not knowing what's
Mhm.
going on. At least maybe he does, maybe he doesn't. And I don't. I think that Tom is a red herring. So I think by process of elimination, I think like both of them are perfectly fine with getting rid of a Kershell, who
Yeah.
I think like is going to be difficult for them to really direct in any way. I think she's very obviously a faithful, a bad faithful, but a faithful nonetheless. Um, so yeah, that's kind of where I'm landing.
yeah, I think that's fair. Um I think the last real thing to talk about is like this was a really positive run for Boston Rob on a reality show, and as a big fan of Rob, it's kind of nice to see other people embrace him just because I mean, Ben, you know, the Survivor superfan community, I feel like, is not super pro Rob. And it's
Well,
hard
I think a lot of the Survivor fan reaction to Rob is just because he's like a big like personality and character, and he's like hugely tied to like the kind of ethos of the show as like a figure that is like representative of the show to like a wider audience of people who aren't like super tied in.
Yeah.
But his like his showing and his win in particular are like not particularly impressive. So like a lot of people like have kind of done a backlash on him where it's like, oh, he's overrated. You know, he doesn't really deserve to kind of hold this like Mount Rushmore position, because he's kind of like, you know, give any mediocre to above average player like 4 chances and they'll probably figure it out, kind of deal. But yeah, I mean, I think he's between the Deal or No Deal Island season 1 and this. I think he's kind of shown that like he still has juice.
Peacock
Yeah,
loves him too. So
they do. They really do. Yeah, for me, it's like I agree. He's not like the best Survivor player in the world. I think he played 2 very good games and 2 like middle of the road games.
Three
And
middle of the
then
road games.
3 middle of the road games, right? I forgot he was on 5
Yeah.
times. Um, but you know, the Winners of War, he was never getting that far anyways. So it's just like,
Well, I mean, Winners of War, he made a conscientious decision to like give up his win equity to like make sure that his wife got to be on the island for 3 days.
true, true. Um, but I do think like he makes up for it in terms of being like a all-time great character, confessionalist, like just like someone who makes the show much
Yeah,
better when he's on
showman.
the show. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Like so many iconic confessionals from Rob over the years and like moments. And so I think like
Mhm.
people got to take the whole, you know, not
Yeah.
just the
Yeah.
strategy of the player. Like I will always defend Rupert as a Survivor character, not ever as a Survivor player, but like he's just somebody who larger than life and will embrace the theme of the show wholeheartedly no matter what the theme is, and that's like an
Hmm.
important element for these TV shows.
Yeah. You need people who are going to hard sell the show, and like especially with the Traitors, where it's like very there's a lot of campiness to it. It's very over the top. Like
Mhm.
it's serious, but it's also not serious at the same time. It's kind of like it kind of rides this line of like taking itself extremely seriously and also
Yeah.
like not taking itself seriously at all.
It's so
Um,
unserious. Yeah.
um, where I think like Rob kind of got the assignment, I think, as far as like making good TV.
Mhm.
And you know, I'm not looking at the Traitors as like the pinnacle of strategy games. I think it's a very heavily flawed game, but it's very well designed for the singular purpose of making a really entertaining television show.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, we're watching it as a television show, right? We're not like, you know, we're analyzing the game to a degree, but like we're watching this as an entertainment product. And I think Rob gets he gets the memo that it's an entertainment product first and foremost.
Mhm. Definitely.
You know, Sri played a perfect game, and now like no one ever is going to be able to play a game as good as that. So
Well, Street
I,
played a really perfect game, and because of that, season 1 is, in my opinion, the worst of the 3 seasons. Right? Like,
yeah,
like playing well often leads to worse television, because like she just stomped over all of these like dumbass newbies who didn't know what they were doing, and it was like
Yeah.
really frustrating and boring to a degree to watching a bunch of like nobodies just kind of like be like, here's Suri, here's $250,000 for free.
Mhm. Yeah. That final fire lives rent free in my head of just Andy being like, "What? What?" Like you floated your entire way to the end. Did you really think that Suri was just gonna share the money with you? Like
yeah,
crazy.
it was awesome. Loved it so much.
Yeah, that them having just like 5 random people in there was just very interesting to me. But I'm glad they did not do that again.
No, yeah,
Yeah.
that was a huge mistake. Though it was good that they didn't make one of them a traitor. That was very funny. That
Mhm.
dude had no clue what he was doing.
Yeah, he made me dizzy. I couldn't. And then he was like trying to be like on their level, and they're
Yeah.
like, "No, baby, no,
Yeah.
sit down,
Yeah, man,
sit
could you
down,
please just shut up for a
no,
second and try to figure
sit,
this out?
smile and nod.
Yeah.
That's all you get."
Oh man, so good.
Yeah,
Anything else you guys want to touch on?
I think I'm good.
No, great episode. The season's
Yeah.
still chugging along. I'm very excited to
Mhm.
see kind of how this plays out. I'm excited. I'm interested to see if we ever get a recruitment or if we're because
Mhm.
like this would have naturally been the one time they would do a recruitment, but I think they had this like face to face kill kind of already scheduled. So
Mhm.
bad timing for that. Maybe when if and when one of Carolyn or Danielle get banished, they'll do like a 1 round recruitment to go from 1 to 2. But who knows? Maybe they just don't. We won't have a recruitment this season because the faithfuls were that bad at getting out traitors.
Yeah, and tough too having 4 traders and still being horrible at getting
Yeah.
any
Mhm.
traders out.
Yep.
I mean, if
I
the
know,
traders had
especially when
stuck
all
together,
yeah, they all hate each other.
yeah,
It makes it worse. We'll see. Maybe the girls will come back.
maybe.
Maybe.
But we still
Maybe
have
not.
Harv and Kate showing up at some point to
True. Yeah, I
do
forgot about
something.
that. So
Yeah.
hopefully, presumably, just host a mission.
Yeah, I hope so. I hope so. Adam in super late though.
Mhm.
That'd be tough.
Yeah, for sure.
Carolyn's gonna be so sad. She's gonna be, I thought I got rid of all these survivors. Another one.
Yeah, she's the last survivor left. We kind of buried the lead on that. Definitely did not expect coming into the. Maybe we should have expected it. I think that makes
Mhm.
sense in hindsight.
It makes sense, yeah.
Yeah,
After
for-
seeing it all go down.
Yeah, Carolyn's the last survivor left, and out of all of the gamers, like all of the male gamers are gone, all the female gamers are still here. So
Yeah.
maybe
true.
that's something, especially given the history of the show. Like the likes of like your Dan Giesling's not doing well, your Cerise doing well, your Cody Calafiore is doing poorly, even like a Rachel Riley doing pretty well. So
Mhm.
maybe that's not something about the nature of the Traitors and like the kind of gameplay that succeeds.
Girl power.
Yeah.
Easy.
Girl power.
Girl power.
Mhm.
Oh man. All right. Ben, you want to plug anything before we get out of here?
No, not really. Yeah.
Me
I
neither.
don't plug anymore, really. Like I don't know. I just.
I got nothing going on either. I'm good.
All right. Well,
I know you have a lot of wicked good sports stuff going on, Brian. A lot of craziness in the sports world recently.
very crazy. I think I did like 20 videos this week. There's a lot. So yeah, between the trade deadline, Super Bowl coverage, Hall of Fame, NFL honors, all that. Wicked Good Sports. Go check it out if you're interested in any of that. This is of course Better Radio, and then our main channel is Wicked Good Everything. Did a few videos on there. Trying to think what would be. If you like Buffy the Vampire Slayer, I did a video on there being a revival and my thoughts on it as a huge Buffy the Vampire Slayer fan. So go check that out. And yeah, other than that, thank you for listening, and we'll see you in the next one.